Hello there. Welcome to Noon Prayer Watch. It's Friday. The weekend is here. Shabbat Shalom. Hope y'all had a good week. This is Jacob coming to you from Japan. Thank you for tuning in or catching up on the replay. Thank you for standing with us, engaging with our content, praying with us, and learning about what's going on in the world today. If you would like to support us, any support is appreciated. You can like, share, subscribe, all the social media and things that you do on these, whatever platform you're watching on Facebook, Rumble, Telegram, YouTube. Is there anything else out there I can't think of? Any sort of interaction helps us. Of course, if you'd like to donate to us financially with an offering or something like that, a donation, you can do that on the CCS app in the app stores that you have on your devices, or also Christian Center, Shreveport.com. So this is New Prayer Watch. We are here on the wall watching, praying, discussing what is happening in our communities, our cities, our nations, and our planet. And we're going to talk about some things that are happening in the nations as always. But today's topic, if you saw the thumbnail, saw the title of this video, subversion. We're talking about subversion and how lame it is. That it's a very serious issue, but I have a kind of a silly title for it today because it is lame. It's not cool. And I'm going to be talking about that whole concept later. But so what is subversion before we get into what I have, the material that I have for you today? There's this idea of rebellion where you are against something. Subversion is like rebellion on steroids, it's to another level. You're not just trying to stand against something or somebody, you're trying to completely undermine them and destroy them. And that's sort of where we are today in the world. There's always have been various opinions about how we should live our lives, how we should run our societies and things like that. But today we have our traditions, the way we do things, and there is an ideology out there, has a lot of different names, but it's trying to completely undermine and subvert and destroy everything and destroy anyone who disagrees with it. And it's literally killing. Like, I'm not being dramatic. Data on paper, it is suffocating, choking, killing the human race. And we got to stand against that because that is not of the Lord at all. It's demonic. And that's what I want to talk about today. Very serious, very dour topic. But I'm going to start off on a lighter, more positive note. You hear about it a lot in discourse of modern politics and society, and that is the birth rate issue in the world. In all first world nations, which is, North America, when I mean like Canada and USA, Europe, and then of course countries out here like where I live, Japan, Korea, the birth rates are very low. And the number that is always thrown around is that if you have a population and you want to replace that population, people are dying, people are being born all the time, the rate at which you need to have children to keep the number the same is 2.1 children per woman. Every woman on average needs to have 2.1 children. What does that mean, 2.1? Some people ask me that. How can you have 2.1 children? You can have two. Where's that 0.1 from? I think, I'm not an expert mathematician, but on average, to replace the population, every woman needs to have 2 children, and then every 10th woman needs to have 3. If you do that, your numbers should stay about the same. And of course, the number is very low in a lot of these nations, 1.4, 1.0, 0.9. And when you do that, what happens is your society becomes older. And in this modern age, we have lots of social programs, welfare, pensions, social security, things like that, where the government takes taxpayer money and gives to the elderly after they stop working and retire, to give them, some financial stability after they stop working. And the idea sounds good on paper, but the issue is if you don't have children growing up and becoming working taxpayers, then big issue. You don't have money to take from to give to the elderly generation, and then that puts a burden on the young people, and that creates a dysfunctional economy. And if the young people have the ability, they will leave the country and go to somewhere else with better opportunities. And so that's the issue the world is facing today. Governments are panicking. How do you fix this issue? How do you get your young people to have more children, build families, even though the economy is not great? How do you do that? And so a lot of these nations like Japan, Korea, and Europe giving lots of perks, lots of benefits for having babies, creating families, but usually paying people to do these sorts of things doesn't work, or doesn't work well enough to actually solve the problem. And in light of all of this is the situation I kind of explained a little bit too much. Korea has as of late had it off the worst. They were like 0.7, and some good news has come out. And if you are watching on the screen, you can see what I'm about to show you. Some new data has come out, and I don't know if you can read Korean. I can't. I tried to learn one time. It's actually easy to learn to read, but you got to still study the vocabulary to know what the words mean. Show translation, the power of technology. 27,000 babies were born in January this year. This is the highest rate in 7 years. That might not sound like a lot to you if you're from like America or whatever, but Korea is a lot smaller, obviously. And 27,000 is a lot. Fertility rate is approaching 1.0. It's half as what it needs to be. We're gonna rate that translation as good. Seems good. It needs to be half as. It needs to be double, basically, in order to be really good. But this is progress, and that's good. I will take any sort of progress. And so the issues that a low birth rate has is still there, but it's going to be softened there. There's a meme from Star Wars Episode 8 where you have the bad guy yelling more, 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 in the sense that, need to have more children, which is funny because the topic of today is related to this movie. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about the actual movie, but I'll try to hit that point later. Don't let me forget. I know you can't talk to me right now. But what's interesting is why this is happening and why exactly it's happening. The article this tweet is leaked to doesn't specifically say, like, did the government, do something specific in order to make the rates go up better. I'm trying to stop sharing, and then I'm going to share the article. It's a different window. And this is something I've been studying this issue, like, as an amateur analyst for over 10, 15 years. I've read books on it, more articles than I'd be cared to comfortable, admitting. However, I have learned something about this issue that we don't talk about, secular media companies don't talk about. That's the marriage rate. And so the baby numbers are growing in Korea. And the article, this is translated from Korean. This year, 27,000 babies born in January, the highest or the largest birth rate in 7 years, 1.0. I don't know. It's probably a translation issue. But the line under the headline, the number of marriages is highest in 8 years, and the death toll is down. Death toll going down, marriage going up will increase babies. The rate's going to adjust, and that's very good. But marriage, and it just gives data. It doesn't really give any specific reasons about why it has. It's just giving the situation. So I'm not going to read the actual article, but the number of marriages, that is key here. That is what I have found lately. And this issue of the birth rate, which you might think this is a boring topic, but it literally will collapse our economies and destroy our societies if we don't address this. And it's an issue we can't just fix overnight. It takes a generation, sometimes 2 generations, to turn this situation around. So those of us in the kingdom, when we're talking about building the kingdom, when we're talking about changing our societies, if we are successful, our values that the Lord has given us in Scripture. Let me get my Bible from back here. I like holding my Bible when I talk about it. This book, if we do what is in it, it will solve these problems. That's what I believe. I firmly believe in that. And in order to do that, you can't do it. You can't do it by yourself. You can't do it within your own generation. You have to raise the next generation. You have to teach them and equip them to carry on what we are doing today. You have to think 100 years into the future. Think about your children and your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. What can you do? Because you can know those people, right? You meet, obviously, your children and most likely your grandchildren and sometimes your great-grandchildren, depending on how long you live and how fast, they're born. Great-great-grandchildren might be a stretch. Great-great-great-grandchildren, maybe not. But what can you do to affect the people, the generations after you while you were alive on this earth, in this life? You have to teach them to carry things on. You have to do it, you have to execute it, but also have to raise the next generation. Educating children in the ways of the Lord is the most important commandment in Scripture. It's the only commandment in the Torah that is said 4 times. No other commandment is said 4 times. Most of the time, things are said twice. It's like, that's really important. Sometimes things are said 3 times. Very important. There's only one thing that is said 4 times, and that is train children. And Passover is right around the corner, and that is one of the times of the year you train your children, and we remind ourselves to raise the next generation. And so that will fix this issue, and that will fix our cultures all over the world, wherever it is. And culture is kind of what I'm going to talk about today. So, hallelujah, the rate in Korea is going up. Pray for the church in Korea, because the church is quite large there. It's like 10% of the population, whereas it's less than 1% here in Japan. It is 10% there. It is the largest, Christianity is the largest religion in Korea, actually. Now, atheists way outnumber them for sure, but if you're looking at actual religions people follow, Christianity is very large. It is split, I think, last time I checked, it is split between Catholic and Protestant, respectively. But when it comes to the traditional religions of Korea, the numbers that actually identify as them is lower than Christianity. That being said, there's a lot of Christians there, and just pray that the church continue to advance the kingdom there, to grow, to bring light, and help solve the problems there. Okay, so what I want to talk about is, I kind of mentioned all of these things. What I want to talk about is, why is this happening? Because in America, it's not. Like, we're not feeling the effects of low birth rates in America, even though the reasons it's happening in Asia and other first world nations also exist within America. And the key here, when we're talking about America specifically, is immigration, both legal and illegal immigration. It's a hot topic. A lot of people talking about it this week with, all the deportations and a lot of we're having a lot of traffic jams at airports in America, and why that's happening. A lot of people have a lot of ideas. People think illegal immigration is clogging our infrastructure. Is that true? I don't know. I haven't seen any data. I just see people, throwing ideas around. But because of that, because of the amount of people, whether they are doing it legitimately or not, coming into America, that is keeping the rate of the replacement rate up. And so we're not feeling the effects in America of a low population. We have other effects, infrastructure overload, for example, but not the effects that nations like here in Japan, immigration is very strict and they don't have those issues. So why is it happening? It is because of cultural subversion by the enemy, by demonic forces, by political ideologies aligned with demonic forces. Not just simple rebellion, but subversion. Actually trying to choke something to death, destroy it, and replace it with what? Nothing good. Nothing good. And so one of the issues is there's been battles in America a long time over social issues. And some of these progressive liberal ideas specifically after like World War II, were transported over to Japan, over to Korea, which are also conservative and traditional in general. And overnight, now you're in this progressive world way of thinking, and there isn't a group of people who are fighting for the old ways, fighting for kingdom ideas and things like that necessarily. And the effect is jarring, and we're seeing really sharp negative results in this generation today. So we're going to talk more about that in a minute, but first I want to talk about subversion itself. Subversion, again, is trying to destroy something, trying to pervert it, to completely flip it around and get rid of it. It's not cool. Like rebellion in the past. I'm not trying to like say it's a good thing. It's most of the time it isn't. But like when I think about, I grew up in the 90s and the aughts, the 2010. Rebelling against your parents, against your pastors, against what the government wants you to do. It was kind of cool. It was like people were happy to do it. They rebelled against the authorities and they did what they wanted to do, and they liked it. They were happy to do it, and they took joy in it, I guess. I don't know. But it was like cool. Like you watch music videos and all those sorts of things, listen to music, and there's a cool factor to it. But that in that situation, it still isn't good. If you're doing something bad, like objectively bad, morally bad, spiritually bad, that's not good. But at that point, back in the day, in my day, not that I'm like old or anything, I don't feel old at heart at least. It was like a disagreement. Like you do your thing, I'm going to do my thing. It wasn't like, kids rebel against their parents and the kids are trying to destroy their parents. They think they want to live this way, and so they're going to go that way, and you can do what you want to do. That's different from what's happening today, I believe. When we're talking about rebellion, if you're rebelling against something evil, that's actually a good thing, okay? Because evil is a rebellion to God, and if you rebel against evil, you're aligning yourself up with God. Jesus rebelled, of course, against the corrupt religious authorities of his day. And he didn't necessarily, rebel against the government, like the Roman government, but he did oppose spiritually the Pharisees and other groups that did not follow this the way the Lord wants people to follow. They followed it legalistically. And even back in, the days of Jeremiah, God was like not happy with them for that, but they kept doing that. So rebellion is not good, but it was kind of cool, it was like hip. Do people say hip anymore? But again, it was like more of a matter of opinion and how, and in America especially, America is all about living your life the way you want to, and no one can force you to do something else. You have freedom. That isn't what's happening today. Today's rebellion, today's subversion is not cool. It's really lame. It's not fun. It makes things unfun for everybody. And it's also insidious because it's trying to seek complete destruction of how our society functions. Because it isn't just this. This isn't just cultural Marxism or critical theory or anything like that these words that you hear, socialism, you hear in universities and things like that. That's a big part of it. That is a big tool in using that the enemy uses to try to unravel our society. But it's not all. There's more to it than that. So I don't want to just blame, that alone. And if you just target that, then all of these problems are going to go away. Because at the end of the day, it's a spiritual, demonic issue that the church has to be actively involved in addressing. But what's lame about it isn't just like destroying everything. It also wants to demoralize people who disagree. Like, that's when cancel culture rose up. You had some sort of opinion. Used to be, you have your opinion, but now, I don't know about now. I think we've kind of moved on from that culture a little bit, but it got to the point where you disagree, then they completely destroy your life, destroy your reputation, go after your family. It seeks complete control and submission, and it demoralizes you. It tries to destroy you if you disagree with it. But what's ironic is even the ones who agree, even the ones who are on board with these ideas, they're not much better off. Like mental health is a big issue now, and getting therapy and dealing with anxiety and having self-esteem issues. Like the people that are pushing this and fighting this struggle with that, but because they don't seek solutions to things, they stay in that negative state because, you don't treat an issue. Your issue is just like an inherent characteristic of you, and you just have to learn like how to live with it, how to deal with it, rather than trying to overcome it, trying to heal it, trying to escape from it, trying to defeat it, which is something the Bible gives us tools to do. But they fight against this because they're in rebellion against God. And if they had, some sort of alternative society, maybe it would work, maybe it would work. I don't know, but they don't have an alternative. All they do is they seek to destroy, because it's what the enemy does. He seeks to kill, steal, and destroy. And this movement is from the enemy. They do it to our media. They take our beloved, some of us who like, if you like movies, TV shows, and things like that, they're taking these franchises that have been around for decades and just absolutely destroying them. And even non-believer fans, people who don't care about the Bible, who don't care about God, they don't like it because these people who take control of Disney and all these other companies, they don't care about preserving anything. They have an agenda, this subversion agenda, and they get into places of power and they take over franchises like Star Wars and things like that, and they put their ideas in there because they're trying to influence society to see the things they want to do, and they ruin it because they're not concerned about making a quality product. They're concerned about pushing their agenda at the expense of the feelings of the people they oppose. And some people who like these things don't actually like the movie. Like, you have a movie and it's really bad, but this subversive message is there. People like that. They just because it's subversive. Oh, I like it. The writing is bad. The acting is bad. The plot makes no sense. I don't care. It's pushing this idea because people are in rebellion. And they're ruining things. And even people who don't believe in the Bible, don't believe in Jesus, don't believe in God, are mad about this. And it's just, there's so much drama. And I mentioned the Star Wars movie in the comments earlier. And that was honestly, for me, the point where everything was clear. Like, the enemy is trying to subvert our society. That entire movie is about subverting everything that Star Wars had done up until that point. And it's not fun. And the movie wasn't that good. It had some cool parts, of course, but overall, everything went downhill from there, in my opinion, as a fan of that. And maybe some young people that or older people as well, like it as, they weren't a fan of that as well. But they've done it to that. They're doing it to Lord of the Rings right now. The other day, oh boy, Lord of the Rings should be finished, but they keep trying to make more content for it. Amazon spent a lot of money to buy it, so they're trying to make some money from it. They announced a new movie, and if there's I guess this show is canceled, a late night talk show host, Stephen Colbert. He's very left-wing, very progressive, so to speak, part of this subversive movement. Claims to be a huge, maybe he is, he probably is, but a huge Lord of the Rings fan, a huge fan of J.R.R. Tolkien's work, seems to read the books once a year, knows everything about it. People were saying he knows more about it than basically anybody out there. And so I don't even know if he has experience writing movies, maybe he does. He's going to write a new Lord of the Rings movie, and it takes place after, and I don't have high expectations for this movie, of course, because it's going to have this subversive. If it doesn't, and I'm wrong, then great. We might have a decent movie to watch to add to the franchise, but I'm expecting to have that subversive message to it that's going to ruin it, and people are going to get mad, and the people that support it, who are in rebellion to God, are going to be like, it's good. They gaslight themselves into thinking that. And you're going to have people who aren't saved who don't believe in this, mad and against them, which is a good thing, because this is the way, guys. this is the way. I'm not trying to make a pun there. Objectively, this is the best way to live your life. The guide, this is a guide, right? And those of us in the kingdom, we keep living this, we keep pushing this, keep expanding the kingdom. The more we do it, and the more the enemy tries to destroy things and ruin things for everybody, I believe it's going to open people's eyes, open people's hearts to the God, to God, to the gospel, to Jesus. We're going to see the kingdom advance. That's my opinion. Okay. But the enemy is doing all of this, and it's really frustrating because it's not logical. There's not some better alternative they're offering. They're just trying to destroy everything. And it's because it's demonic. And I'm going to now circle back to the Asia thing right now. The one of the big issues is, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this maybe, is the modern progressive feminist movement in America. And I watched a really long interview with someone who researched this movement. And I knew it was tied to, not the best political ideologies from back in the day, but it was literally tied to the demonic, as in a lot of the civil rights back in the 1920s, 30s, 40s and on. These civil rights figures, women, some women, but men too, they were literally into the occult. They were into dark magical things and all that sort of stuff. I heard one story. There was one famous, figure. I forgot her name, but she had a polyamorous relationship with all of these men, and she was literally trying to give birth to the Antichrist. So this isn't just like I have a different political ideology than you. I just want, power to the people, everybody to have dignity. They are literally trying to give birth to the Antichrist who will come and, destroy the world. And a lot of stories like that I heard. But it's all about control, right? It's all about control. And it's clever because it was framed as this idea that women were trapped. They were stuck in the house. They were stuck being mothers. They couldn't go out and do what they wanted to do. And so we're going to change society to where they can do this. And now women are stuck outside of the house. This agenda is trying to push them out. If you stay at home and you try to be a mother, even I've seen this in Christianity, conservative people, there's like this shame put on. You're not actually doing work. You're not doing a good job. You're not going to be happy. All of these sorts of this message. And that is against this book that the Lord has given us. The first commandment that God gave to mankind is to be fruitful and multiply. And this whole birth rate issue is all about not being fruitful and not multiplying, and it's rocking our societies in a negative way. So at the end of the day, in my opinion, what is my view? Are you like this old school person who says, women shouldn't be in society? I'm not that. My view is that people should have the freedom, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, to do what you want to do. And there shouldn't be shame unless you're doing something bad, like, something immoral. There shouldn't be shame in the choice that you make. And if you want to do both, you want to work out, do a job, but raise a family, society should support that. Because women who have children, who have families, who help create families, because we men can't do it without the ladies out there by ourselves, that is the next generation that keeps our societies alive, our race, or the human race alive. And it is honorable. Just as honorable if you want to go out and start a business, or if you want to stay home and start a family. Both are equally honorable, and society should treat them honorably and support the choices that individuals make. That's my view. But society doesn't want to do that. And I have a whole bunch of points, but I'm going to kind of wrap up right now. So what happens is, I kind of made this point already though, we have the situation in America where you have conservative people who are fighting for things that are rooted in kingdom principles, maybe not always executed successfully, fighting against this subversive culture. But then when you bring it to Japan and Korea and these other nations that are performance-based, that are very materialistic, there's a quick shift because at that point the ladies in these cultures are trapped. Like, they don't have a choice, and there is a lot of shame in the choices that they make. And now it's to the point where here, if you can't be like a working mom. That's very hard to do. You have to either 100% spend all your energy and effort and time at the job, or you have to go home. And usually when the ladies get married, even when they don't have kids yet and they continue working, people don't expect them to, if you want to work your way up the ladder and you get married when you're 25 or something, people are going to expect you to have a kid and to retire soon. So they're looking to give a promotion to somebody. You're not going to be it. And that's sad, because maybe that individual could pull it off, but that's not how society works here. And so people make a choice. They will go all in on working at a company, or all in and going on a family, and that leads to issues. That leads to people getting married later, having fewer children. Thus, we have the population problem that we have today. But we don't have a group here to fight for the children, for building families. You have governments trying to incentivize it, but you don't have people within the culture trying to. Then that's what you really need, and that's why the kingdom of God needs to be built here. Because other than that, it's going to be a materialistic, money thing. What gives me the most money? How can I have a comfortable life? Because one of the other reasons people don't have children is because they don't get married. The government doesn't focus on marriage. It focuses on just incentivizing children. And really, they should focus on the marriage rates, because like I think I said earlier, the birth rate within marriage is still high here in Japan. It's just people aren't getting married. And so, because having a bunch of children out of wedlock, a bunch of fatherless children, isn't going to solve all of our issues. You'll increase the population, but you're going to have a lot of other issues there. So the point I'm trying to make here is that, like, we need to take, those of us from America, we need to take responsibility, because we've had this whole battle, and we've kind of managed some of the damage that the subversive agenda, this demonic agenda, has wrought on our society. But that is exported to other nations who have no one to fight it, and then it just wrecks them. And then you have situations like you see in Korea, you see in Japan, and there's no one to fight them, and we kind of take for granted our freedom in America. I'm trying not to, I don't know if I should say this, especially when it comes to, voting and who you vote for, because sometimes when you vote for people, president, whatever, both parties or all the parties are bad. You don't feel like there's any good choices, but you have to understand, if you allow this subversive Marxist agenda to continue to thrive, they export their destructive ways to other nations, and America needs to be a leader in that regard. And I think things are turning around. I have a lot of hope. I know I'm talking about all these negative problems, but I have a lot of hope that the kingdom will turn things around. So, what do we do? I'm talking about all these issues. What do we actually do? At the very least, you keep fighting the fight where you are at home. And that does include going to the ballot box and voting for politicians who are as close as possible aligning with kingdom principles. It's never going to be perfect. And so applying that standard to politicians, you're going to have a lot of frustration if you do that. Get as close as you can and put your opinions and your flesh aside there. Keep advancing the kingdom wherever you are. Participate with your church, with your ministry, with your friends, with your family. Do it in your homes, do it in your neighborhoods, do it in your cities. That's something we can all do here with the people that you know. And if you are called to, or you know someone who is called to go out to the nations, support them, pray for them, give them money, donate to them financially, whatever they need. Pray about that. Pray about sowing into that, because you will reap a reward. Not that you should do it for the reward, but we have to bring the gospel to the nations. The fullness of the Gentiles has to come in before humanity reaches the next eschatological stage, according to Scripture. Romans 11 talks about that the fullness of the Gentiles has to come in first. And a lot of people are looking up, waiting for the second coming, but I'm looking at the conversion rates of Christians in countries like Japan, and the fullness isn't here yet. So until those numbers start getting up, I don't think we should be looking into the sky. I could be wrong. No one knows the day or the hour when all that's going to go down, but Bible says what the Bible says. The fullness of the Gentiles has to come in before other things happen. So that's part of why I'm here in the nations, and other people are here in the nations. I'm trying to help bring people, raise people, connect people in order to fulfill that. And those of you that support me, that support this ministry, that support all of the people going to all of the nations that are sent out from Christian Center Shreveport, we thank you so much, because you are helping, fighting this subversive agenda that's trying to destroy humanity. You are a big part of that, even if it's a little bit, even if you've donated like $10 to somebody, to some kid who's going on a mission trip. You are sowing into the fight that the kingdom is fighting against darkness. And so I thank you, and I honor you for that. Please keep it up. At the very least, pray. If that's all you can do, then that's great. And I could say more about this topic, but that's all I have to say for today. Please, again, like, share, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell. It's a small way you can help support this ministry. Please donate to us if you feel led to through the CCS app. Also at Christian Center Shreveport's homepage. You can do it there as well. Be blessed and have a great weekend. Remember, always bring order to chaos. I will see you next time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.